You're watching Baku TV International with me, Mariam Zaidi.
And me, Miranda Shunker.
It's day 5 of our ongoing coverage of COP29 here in Baku.
Yes, indeed. Much of the focus at this year's climate conference has been on the financial package of support needed to help countries affected by climate change and those smaller developing nations. Let's have a listen to what the president of Azerbaijan had to say.
Using this opportunity, I'd like to raise one of the important issues on the international agenda: neocolonialism and climate change. The so-called overseas territories of France and Netherlands, particularly in the Caribbean and Pacific, are among the most severely impacted They are among the most severely impacted by climate change. Rising sea level, extreme weather events, biodiversity loss create serious threats to these regions. The voices of these communities are often brutally suppressed by the regimes in their metropolis.
From the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres to Bangladesh's interim Prime Minister Mohammed Yunus, small states and climate-vulnerable island nations have accused the global north of failing them when it comes to the climate, saying it's their fault.
The president of the Democratic Republic of Congo details the impact of climate change on his country.
My country, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the world's largest lung, has the profile of a solution country. This is because, with its vast expanses of forests that regulate the world's climate, its rich biodiversity, its reservoirs of fresh water, its gigantic areas of peat bogs, its immense arable land, not to mention its many critical minerals essential to the development of cutting-edge technologies in the era of energy transition, the Democratic Republic of the Congo is truly at the heart of the climate stakes. However, it remains extremely vulnerable to the adverse effects of climate change. To this end, all countries fighting global warming must commit to working alongside us to achieve this common goal, to preserve humanity because the time is now. Each country must play its part.
Gabon, like many other developing countries, will not be able to maintain this level of commitment without international solidarity. The planet's survival depends as much on our ecosystems as on the respect of the commitments of those countries whose historical responsibility is engaged.
Joining us now on set, we have some guests from New Caledonia. It's a group of islands in the Pacific Ocean. So joining us, we have Wadida Jean-Albert from the mission officer to the president, and we also have Wethi Frederic, who's responsible for customary relations. Merci beaucoup. Thank you for joining us. So you live on a beautiful island, but this comes with a price. Do you think the world is finally listening to you at COP?
D'abord, bonjour. Je pense que c'est très intéressant d'être là.
First of all, thank you for having us. It's truly an honor to be here at COP29. We're here to send a strong message to the world that we exist, that New Caledonia exists. Our presence at this summit is to make it clear that we are here to claim our rights, just like any other country. We want the world to hear our voice and understand that we are standing up for our future.
La reconnaissance du peuple kanak.
Monsieur, the French minister has shunned COP29 over his comments on colonialism. Your reaction to this?
Je pense que c'est dommage.
The problem is that our country, New Caledonia, has been colonized by France. This began in 1783. Since then, we have been fighting for our rights and the recognition of our people. We've been advocating for independence, and part of that fight is being here today at COP29, demanding that the world recognizes our struggle, both politically and environmentally.
What are the problems of their island, and what are they demanding at COP?
Au niveau de l'environnement, comme je disais tout à l'heure, on a été impacté par.
Honestly, it's a shame that the French Minister of the Environment chose not to come to COP29. The environment is such an important issue, and his absence speaks volumes. It's ironic because New Caledonia has been severely impacted by environmental issues, especially because of industrial activities like mining. France has benefited economically from our land and resources, yet the environmental consequences have been devastating. So, we are here not just to raise awareness about colonialism, but to demand real action and responsibility for the environmental harm caused.
Sur la décolonisation.
Merci beaucoup, monsieur.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup. While the debate rages on as to who is responsible and who should pay for the impact of climate change, this year's conference has also been a communication COP, a forum for all opinions and voices to be welcomed and free to be heard.
Yes, indeed, there has been noisy protests throughout the course of the 5 days so far, with a large gathering of eco-activists gathered on the main floor of the conference, calling out against the use of fossil fuels.
Governments, governments, listen to me. I am the place out. Let's go fossil free. Governments, governments.
So what's going on at conference today?
Well, Miranda, here we heard from Abbasov, the Baku Initiative Group Executive Director, who highlighted the rights of indigenous people.
Firstly, thank you very much for your question. As you know, the COP29 is the most significant international platform for indigenous people from colonized regions. We, as Baku Initiative Group, conducted several events dedicated to environmental issues in colonized regions. And also, we, as an international NGO and representative of international NGO, joined to some silent demonstrations of indigenous people. They conveyed to the global community the reality in colonized regions and the consequences of colonial policy on environmental issues.
Okay, Abbasov, thank you so much.
Well, finally, a few faces from the stage and screen have been attending the conference, including British actor Theo James, who is a goodwill ambassador for the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees.
Yes, he took part in a launch event to amplify the voices of displaced communities in the global climate debate, demanding greater support for those affected and calling for their inclusion in the formation of climate policy. Well, that's the news from day 5 of COP for now, but don't forget you can always catch up on all of our top stories and coverage of COP29 Baku. Isn't that right, Miranda?
Yes, indeed. You'll find them on baku.tv, or you can follow us on our social media platforms. You can find us on X and Facebook at Baku TV International. Thank you for watching.